This is it, Luigi!
It's me, the video game boy. I don't know why I tried doing a cool intro, I'm such a casual when it comes to video games. So, Mario Maker 2 just had a pretty big update out of the blue, and I gotta say, I am loving it so far. I don't usually do reviews or anything of the sort, but the stout red mustache man has been evoking enough of a reaction out of me that I want to talk about his wonderful game. Now this is the second or third DLC that this game has gotten, the last major one being the Zelda Sword update, which I had a lot of fun with when it came out, although that one didn't really revamp the game as much as I think Nintendo wanted it to. There was a ton of hype for this game when it first came out last year, but ultimately there weren't really too many new or interesting mechanics being added to hold people's interest as much as the first Mario Maker held it. And that really sucked. I know a lot of people were really hyped for this game, including myself, and it's by no means a bad game, I still play it all the time, but the general hype has died down pretty fast. And so they added the Link DLC, which gave you a power-up that could turn you into Link, and that opened the doors for a lot more puzzles to play with, but again, that hype died down really quickly. And I haven't really been following the news too closely since then. I think there may have been a couple of updates here and there, but it was nothing too major, and people have had a lot of ideas in mind for things that they wanted to see added to the game. New power-ups and returns of old power-ups from either the last Mario Maker or some of the older Mario games, and that hasn't really been happening a lot until now. The newest update added a shit ton of new features to the game, bringing a bunch of items and power-ups over from older titles, and adding the new Course World feature, which has me absolutely screaming with my little boy lungs. These new power-ups and mechanics, in addition to the ones that they have been adding throughout the entirety of the lifespan of Mario Maker 2, make the game kind of the perfect vessel for DLC. Sure, with every time they add new things to it, like with any game, we have new things to play with, but this is a game about making games, and adding new mechanics to the type of gameplay that you can put into your game kind of opens up an infinite world of opportunity. So I'm still figuring out a lot of the stuff that they put into the game myself, and as far as I can tell, each of the new items that they've added was locked to a certain world style, which I have a little bit of a problem with, but it doesn't really dampen the gameplay experience at all. So one of the first big ones that they added in the Super Mario Bros. Style, the old, like the really old one, they added the Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom, which turns you into Mario from Super Mario Bros. 2, meaning that you can pick up enemies and throw them, and they also added the frog suit, which makes swimming way easier and lets you walk on water like your homeboy Jeebus. Then in Super Mario World, they brought back the inflation fetish balloon, and for the 3D games, they have the flying squirrel, the boomerang, the on-off trampolines, and a bunch of wearable power-ups, which are really cool. I love most of them. They're all very good. You can either, you can be a bullet bill or a walking POW block, and they also added a Goomba head that you can just wear, and that one's really cool in concept. Disguising yourself as an enemy, I think that you could do some really interesting puzzles with that, but all the ones that have been playing with it so far have been incredibly easy, because making you invisible to enemies kind of makes you a little OP, but I'm sure that some people are going to come up with some crazy puzzles that are going to shut my dumb mouth. Then they added the fucking Koopalings, finally. I've been waiting to see those in the game for so long, and they also added in the Cursed Key Mask and the Mecha Koopas, and God, Jesus, they just added so much stuff with this. And it's all working great, too. At the time of me recording this, the update's only been out for a couple of hours, and already all of you geniuses out there have been making some crazy awesome puzzles and levels. Just good for you, good for all of you. You did good things, you've been doing good things. And then, of course, there's the update that everybody's been obsessing over, which is the World Maker, which lets you make an entire Mario game. Now, this is huge for me, because Super Mario World was my very first Mario game ever when I was just a wee boy, and I'm not even that good at making levels, but right now I am stoked to try making my own Mario game. I'm gonna make my own worlds. You can get up to, I think you can get up to 8 maps and 40 playable world designs in one, or courses in one world. It's just, it's very, very cool. I'm excited to make some. I'm excited to play what other people have made. With this update, it really looks like, basically, if you know where to look, you can just have an infinite supply of Super Mario World games, which I know that sounds redundant, given the game that we're talking about, but I think you know what I mean. Honestly, I think that this is the thing that's going to finally drum up some hype for Mario Maker again, because now you're not just playing individual levels, you can play through and make entire worlds. That's gonna suck me in for a very long time. I think that this is what people really wanted when the game first came out. This is kind of what people were asking for when they were making Mario Maker 2, and it could very easily give the entire game a second wind. Overall, stellar update. However, there were a couple of things about it that I didn't really love, and it has nothing to do with the mechanics that they added in. Everything seems to be working fine. It's more or less what they didn't put into the game, and what they are apparently never going to, because this is apparently the final update of the game. Which is really kind of surprising and weird because Super Mario Maker 2 has a lot more potential than this. Again, it may just be because not as many people are playing it, but still, there's a lot of possible updates that people have been theorizing about for a while now, and it's all but confirmed that none of it's ever going to happen. I have a list of some updates that I would have loved to have seen going forward. I know Mario Maker 2 already has a lot of features, but I am an entire slut for quantity in crafting or collection games, so let's start with some of my smaller ideas. Firstly, there are a lot of power-ups and items that still haven't been brought over from other games, like the Mega Mushroom or the blue shells from the new Super Mario Bros. Game, or that weird tall mushroom from the last Mario Maker. I think it was like a shiitake mushroom or something like that. And if they are adding in things from Super Mario Bros. 2, they could have added in the throwable turnips that you dig up out of the ground, the things that you can pick up and throw at enemies. I know mechanically that these things don't really work too much different than throwing enemies, but it might be a fun nod. And it could also be a cool way to build puzzles, you know? You could have entire stages where you just have to find things that you need to dig up out of the ground, and that's how you progress. Another thing I was hoping that we'd get to see would be the different colored Yoshis, because right now I think they only have the green and the red ones, but there were other colors for the Yoshis in the older games that all had different powers. Like, I think the blue ones could fly, the yellow ones I think could smash down and like cause an earthquake or something like that. I might be remembering that incorrectly, but I know that there were several different Yoshis that you could have in the older games, and I would have loved to have seen all of them make a comeback. Also, I'm going to be talking about Super Mario Bros. 2 again. I'm sorry, I know I'm annoying about this, but since they added those characters in, I really would have loved to have seen the return of some other villains, like Birdo and Wart. I think those would have been cool to add in. They could have added a bunch of other stuff from that game. And talking about other villains, they could have added in some villains from some less conventional games as well. Like they could have thrown in the rabbits from Super Mario Odyssey, or maybe even the bean people from Superstar Saga. That would have been a really fun cameo. Oh man, actually come to think of it, if they did that, then they could have also added in the like thunder and fire power-ups that you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I'm still immensely pleased with the Koopalings. I know I've been talking about this for a while, but it is really just a minor idea that I think that they could have gone with, but ultimately they don't have to. What they put in was very good. And the bigger changes I would have loved still would have been doable, I think. My first suggestion is new playable characters. Since they added Super Mario Bros. 2, that mushroom that turns you into the game's style, I feel like this would have been the perfect time to add Peach as a playable character. That being said, the mushroom that turns you into the Super Mario Bros. 2 style probably also could have given you the stats from that game as well. Like, I think that doesn't change anything about Mario, but if you're playing as Luigi, I think you would have the, like, weird wiggle jump, and then Princess Peach can float for a little bit. I forget what it does with Toad, but it would have been fun if, as a secondary effect of that mushroom, instead of just being able to pick up enemies, you could also get those little stat changes. I think that could be a fun gameplay mechanic. And that would also open up the possibility for levels that you could only pass if you were playing as a certain character, or only pass easily if you're playing as a certain character. But yeah, new playable characters. You know, Peach, obviously, but there's also other Mario characters that you could throw in as playable characters. Let me play as Waluigi, you fucking cowards! Also, I think that power-up could have been added to other game styles as well, which leads me to my next suggestion. They should have had some of the style-locked power-ups translate into multiple game styles. Now, I'm not married to this one, I just think that it would have been cool to see, like, maybe the Powerball Mario or the Mario 2 color palette in other game styles, or maybe, like, having the frog suit function next to the cat suit as well, because I can already think of some levels that would be kind of interesting, because, you know, it's possible to make those levels that are kind of choose your own adventure paths, and you could be playing, say, one of the 3D style games, and in the moment you have to choose either cat suit or frog suit to progress through the level in a certain type of way. Something like that could be fun. I could see people doing a lot of cool, crazy things with that. The last suggestion I have, I think you all know what I'm about to say, more world styles, and this is mainly just because of the extra world styles tab still being plural. It's extra world styles with an S, suggesting that they had at least intended to add more styles at one point in time, but they didn't for whatever reason. Now, Mario has had a lot of games in the past, God, what is it, 35 years now? And they've got a huge catalog of game styles to choose from, each with a bunch of really cool, unique power-ups and enemies that would have been a ton of fun to play with. Obviously, Super Mario Bros. 2 was the big one that everybody thought might happen. Super Mario Land was a really interesting one that they could have done, had a lot of interesting villains and mechanics, including like planes and submarines. That would have been fun to add to this. Mario All-Stars was a different art style, so I'll count that as well. Yoshi's Island, maybe? Then of course the 3D games like Odyssey, Galaxy, Sunshine, and 64 all had some cool gameplay that could have been really interesting to see in a side-scroller. Paper Mario, of course. I've already suggested Superstar Saga, and then of course I would be remiss if I didn't suggest Mario's Time Machine or Hotel Mario. All that being said, while I absolutely love the new update, it's sad to see that this is the last major update that we're going to be getting for this game, but my theory is that they're saving a lot of these larger updates that we've been asking for a future game. You know, at this point, Mario Maker 2 finally feels like it's earned the title of a legitimate sequel to Mario Maker. And while there are a few things that I would really like to see in this game, and I am really surprised that they're done with it so soon, as a whole it is still a very solid upgrade from the original Mario Maker. And this gives me the feeling that the game might have been a sort of proof of concept for a Mario Maker with major DLC updates and wildly different playing styles and things like that. I personally think that they could have added 1 or 2 new world styles to the game before they were actually done with it, but it would make sense financially to hold off on adding all of these crazy new features in until they were putting it into a third game. Now, I don't know if they're going to do a third game, and if they do, I don't know if it's going to go on the Switch or if they're waiting to make the next system, whatever that's going to be. Who knows? But what I can say is that if we are going to be getting a Mario Maker 3, if it doesn't have these things that people have been asking for, don't know if it'll be worth it. But those are my thoughts for Mario Maker 2 3.0. You cannot Yahoo. How do people do reviews? Do I give it stars? Is that what I'm doing? Is that what this channel is becoming? Yeah. Update is great. Could have had more. I give the update 7 Novas out of 10 stars, because I'm trying to do a space theme, because that's my name. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I know there really isn't a rhyme or rhythm to my channel yet. A lot of you guys are here because you like watching my storyboards, or maybe you like my Nova Draws animations, and I have another one of those in the works for Animal Crossing. Go figure, I'm still talking about Nintendo games. This was kind of just a ramble and a speed paint, so I hope you're all okay with that. I'm thinking of doing more of these low-effort conversation videos in between my bigger projects. Yeah, I'm still figuring out this channel, I'm sorry. But, hey, why don't you comment down below and tell me what you'd like to see more of in the future, or if you have ideas for what you'd like to see me paint next. Also, if you like my work and you want to support me, I'll post links to my Patreon, my commission information, and all my social medias down below, so check those out, and I will see you the next time I make something. Peace out!